Well, what did you think? Were you surprised? Shocked, maybe? This is probably the same thing. Were you expecting it? What I'm getting at and referring to is the NBA Finals, which, might I add, should have been a sweep if San Antonio wouldn't have missed 4 key free throws at the end of Game 2, which allowed Miami to take the series back to Miami at a game apiece. Hello everybody and welcome to the Cleveland Sports Report. I am your host, Nick Brolis. My Twitter handle is at the bottom of the screen, at mbrolis, and my email is nickbrolis8404@yahoo.com. We're going to get into some basketball here in just a minute, but it's baseball season. You know I want to start out with the Tribe, and I got some news and notes here for you. Currently sitting at 36-36 after last night's shellacking, if you will, from the Anaheim Angels. The Indians are in the middle of a 4-game series with the Anaheim Angels, or Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, And really, I'm just hoping that they get a split with this team because this team is pretty darn good. And to tell you how pretty darn good they are, and they're not the best team in the American League, but I usually wait to give you guys the standings to finish off the baseball segment, but I'm going to give them to you right now because the American League Central Division is the closest and tightest division in all of baseball right now. So let's go down the divisional standings with you to start this episode of the Cleveland Sports Report off. In the American League, over in the East, Toronto has a 3.5-game lead over the Yankees. Toronto sits at 41-31, followed by the Yankees at 36-33, followed by the Orioles at 37-34, Boston 34-38, and Tampa Bay in the bottom of the barrel at 28-45. And I tell you what, they've been playing some terrible baseball lately. They are 13.5 games back of first place in the East. Then you move to the Central. As I told you just a couple seconds ago, the tightest division in baseball, with the last place team being the Minnesota Twins, only being 6.5 games out of first place. So now, after last night's huge win over the Detroit Tigers, the Kansas City Royals actually moved into first place with a record of 39-32, while Detroit sits at 36-32. Cleveland even 500 at 36-36. The White Sox are at 35-37. And as I just told you, the Twins sit at the bottom of the division, 32-38. Over in the West now, Oakland continues to show that they're a quality team. 43-28 in first, followed by the Angels at 38-32. The Mariners are at 37-34. The Rangers at 35-36. And the Houston Astros at 32-40. Over on the senior circuit, the National League, in the East, you have the Washington Nationals at 36-33, only a game up on the Atlanta Braves at 36-35, followed by the surprising Marlins, who are only a game back of first place, with also identical record of 36-35, and the Phillies and I'm just going to throw this out there to you real quick. There's a rumor going around that they're actually going to have a fire sale, so to speak, go into, trading players to get young prospects and start to rebuild because they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're getting older. It's just not going to work for them. So, the Phillies are at 32-38, followed by the Mets are at 32-40, last placed in the East. In the NL Central, you have the Milwaukee Brewers at 43-29, only 4 games ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals at 39-33, followed by the Reds at 34-35, the Pittsburgh Pirates at 34-36, and the Chicago Cubs at 30-40. And then you also have in the NL West, the San Francisco Giants are in first place at 43-29, followed by the Dodgers in second place, only 4.5 games back. at 39 and 34, and the Colorado Rockies at 34 and 37. The Padres at 29 and 42. More on that team in just a minute on a sad note. And the Arizona Diamondbacks at 30 and 44. So, there are your current Major League Baseball standings. Obviously going to change after tonight because the Indians are playing game number 3 of the four-game set with the Angels. Tomorrow is a 12:05 game start, I believe, at Progressive Field. But the offense has actually picked up, in my opinion, a little bit. Michael Bourne's finally showing something for me. Lonnie Baseball! Lonnie Baseball! Bringing it home for the Tribe. He had an unbelievable road trip, specifically in Texas. Had 9 RBIs in that game. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And Santana finally starting to come around a little bit slowly but surely. He's getting there. Swisher, you're still not doing enough for me. Especially with that contract that you signed. Come on, man! Come on! Defensively, the errors are finally starting to somewhat slow down. But we're still not nearly where we should be with the errors. It's always going to kill you. And the starting pitching has had a very tough time making it into the 6th inning when they play these games. And Trevor Bauer, I went to the game on Monday night, took my dad to the game for Father's Day. By the way, happy belated Father's Day to all you dads out there. And it was very good that Trevor Bauer could make it into, I believe he went 6 1/3 inning, and then Carrasco came in and shut the rest of the game down. But your starters have got to make it, in my opinion, get to the 7th inning. Get to the 7th inning, or at the very, very worst, get 2 outs in the 6th inning, and let's be happy with that. So, like I said, defensively, we're doing a little bit better, but still much to be desired. And of course, the upcoming huge key series that could determine second place. No, it will actually determine second place now that I think about it. Between the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Indians, Detroit comes in to Progressive Field on Friday as a part of a 3-game series. Great tickets still available, by the way, at Indians.com. I believe there's about 34,000 seats that have been sold for the Saturday game, so it's going to be a very good series in my opinion. Now, for my buddy Tim, 1980 is the first time, this is the first time I should say since 1980, beg your pardon, that the Kansas City Royals have been in first place this late in the season since 1980. I wasn't even born then. I was born in 84. So, I'm happy for him. I'm happy to see the Royals in first place just because of the fact that it seems like they've been down in the dumps for the most part since I've been alive. But, obviously I'd love to see the Indians in first place, but it's good to see somebody different in first place for once. So, that's with that. Now, as I opened up the show with you, the Spurs beat the Miami Heat to become the 2014 NBA champions, and they should have swept them if it, like I said earlier in the show to open it up, they should have swept them if it wasn't for 4 key free throws that San Antonio missed in the final minute or so of the second game. So, with that being said, the media has already started on it. They started on it before the game even ended. Even before Game 5 even ended. LeBron, will he stay? Will he go? I told you guys, if you bothered to watch the last Cleveland Sports Report, and I'll say it again, LeBron James is coming back, in my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with me, but that's my opinion. I think he's going to come back. I have my reasons. I'm not going to go into them right now due to time constraints, but I have my reasons why he'll come back. Who will be the next Cleveland Cavaliers head coach? So many names going around right now. Mark Jackson, Mark Price. I think it's David Blatt, the overseas head coach. I think he was in town last week, so no new news to report on them. But I'm happy with either Lionel Hollins, Mark Price, or Mark Jackson, or, like I just said, the David Blatt, the guy from overseas. I'd like to see either one of them come in and head coach the team. I know my buddy Andy from Cafe 80s isn't too big on Mark Jackson, but that's just, him and I disagree on that, and that's fine. I'm fine with any of you guys that want to disagree with me on this stuff. And finally, last but not least, on the Cavs front, who will they draft? It was reported a couple days ago that Joel Embiid, the center from Kansas, was actually the one that had a bad physical for the Cavs. Well, now we're hearing different. So I don't know. Maybe you've heard something else new that I haven't. I don't know. I hope he's healthy because I'd like to see the Cavs either get him or Parker. Those are my two guys that I'd like to see them get. If Embiid is healthy, you got to go after him. So that's with that. And not too much to really report on the Browns. They released wide receiver Earl Bennett, who they just signed, I think, about 2 months ago to a one-year deal. I think the deal was $730,000, but they weren't impressed with him during mandatory minicamps, which ended last week, so they released him. Obviously, now they're going to rely heavily on Andrew Hawkins in the slot, and hopefully Miles Austin can get over his nagging injuries. But in my opinion, I think Andrew Hawkins is going to have a huge year for the Browns. Very fast, can catch the ball. I really was glad to see that they got him. And Johnny Manziel signed his rookie 4-year contract with the Cleveland Browns just yesterday, so that's good that he's going to be in camp on time guaranteed. And finally, this edition of the CSR Side Notes is brought to you by my buddy Andy Bruno, Barry, Casey, and Dan at Cafe 80s. Their next show is July 18th, which is a Friday, at Panini's in North Canton. I would really appreciate it if you guys were to come out. If you love to dance, or you just love live music, or specifically 80s music, or you just want to go out and have a good time and, just talk friends and just enjoy some good music while you're out there. Cafe 80s, July 18th, which is a Friday, Panini's in North Canton. Be there, friends. Come on. Show some love for your local music. Chuck Noll, unfortunately, has passed away, and he was born in Cleveland. He had a record of 209, 156, and 1 as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He won the 4 Super Bowl championships in the 1970s with the steel curtain and whatnot. He actually played in Cleveland for the Browns from 1953 to 59. So, unfortunately, it's sad to see him go because he was such a great coach. He was a very good man. He was a very detailed man from what I read. So, certainly sad to see and hear that he went. And on the other side note, Tony Gwynn, a.k.a. Mr. Padre, died at the age of 54. I like to use the term passed away. I remember him playing, obviously. Great hitter. Very, very good person, though, off the diamond. He will be missed, so God bless you, Tony, and Chuck Noll. You will be missed. Last but not least here on the Cleveland Sports Report to end the show, I have to say this, even though this involves the Browns. I know that Josh Gordon screwed up, and I know he's got to make better decisions, and I know he's got to learn to either pick different friends, or the friends that he is hanging out with say, look, when you guys want to go out and get into stupid things and make stupid decisions, don't involve me. I've got millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that I could make because of the talent that I have to play at the NFL level. I know there's a suspension coming, and it's not that I don't agree with it, because I know it's coming and I expect it. But this is what I'm ticked off about. 2 parts. How does Ray Lewis get away with murder and still get to play, and Ray Rice beats his wife, and all he has to do is go to classes, which he'll do, and it's like a slap on the wrist. Oh, really? Come on. But my other point to this whole Josh Gordon situation is this. It's been at least 2 months since the NFL caught Josh Gordon failing this drug test. Since then, the week after that came down, 2 players, a linebacker from Arizona and another one, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, actually got suspended for using PEDs. Okay, so How on earth does it take you this long to come down with a suspension for a wide receiver? And regardless of the fact of if he's so important to this team or not, he's still a player. I don't care if it's the center, a linebacker, a corner, the quarterback. I don't care what position he plays or how big of a role he plays for the team. You should have come down with a suspension no less than a month ago, because this team has got to figure out a different game plan for how long Josh Gordon's going to be out. If he's going to be gone for 6 games, they've got to figure out what kind of a wide receiver tandem they're going to put out on the field. Maybe it's obviously going to change up the offensive scheme just a little bit for the Browns, because they're not going to have Gordon, who's their best wide receiver. But the point is, NFL, and I even wrote it word for word on my notes just like this: the NFL is dropping the ball when it comes to Josh Gordon. You guys really need to come out with your suspension real quick so that the Browns can plan around for while he's not going to be around. If it's going to be 4 games, they can plan around the 4 games. If it's going to be 6, 10, 12, the whole season, it doesn't matter. Let the Browns know what the suspension is going to be and how long, so that they can plan around it. That's all I'm saying. So, with all that being said, please tweet at me at Mbrolis. My Twitter handle is at Mbrolis. My email is nickbrolis8404 at yahoo.com. Again, please, for those of you that want to come out and have a good time with Cafe 80s, July 18th, a Friday, Panini's in North Canton. You get to dance on to the 80s. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Thank you for watching this edition of the Cleveland Sports Report. My name is Nick Brolis. Have a great week, everybody.